welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The sunlight trickled through the blinds, casting thin shadows across the bedroom where I stood, examining the coat that hung innocently on the chair. It was Marlene's favorite, a soft, dove-gray peacoat that seemed to whisper secrets as I ran my fingers along the fabric. My search was aimless, motivated more by a desire to feel close to her while she was at work than any suspicion. However, the smooth paper I felt in the pocket was unexpected. Curiosity piqued, I pulled out two sleek, glossy tickets. They were for the Silent Notes, our favorite band, the one we had followed since our college days, binding us in shared melodies and whispered lyrics. The concert was tonight. A smile crept across my face. Marlene must have planned this as a surprise. I imagined her revealing it over dinner, her eyes sparkling with excitement. But dinner came and went with no mention of a concert or any surprise. I waited, the tickets burning a hole in my pocket, my heart sinking with each passing hour. When she mentioned having to meet a friend urgently, concern etched itself into my features. She kissed my cheek, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me, and left with nothing but a casual wave. The decision to follow her wasn't premeditated, it was a compulsion, fueled by a cocktail of confusion and burgeoning suspicion. I trailed her at a distance as she navigated the bustling city streets. The venue came into view, its bright lights mocking my dismay. There, under the neon glow, stood Marlene. But it wasn't her friend she met, it was Damien, her co-worker, whom she often mentioned in passing, always brushing him off as just another guy from the office. They laughed, his hand brushing hers, an intimacy that was unmistakable. The concert's bass thudded in my chest, or was it my heart breaking? I watched, hidden in the shadows, as they disappeared into the crowd, her happiness evident, her betrayal clear. The ride home was a blur of red traffic lights and the echo of every lie she had ever told me. Sitting alone in the dark, the silence was suffocating. The pain of betrayal gnawed at me, an open wound, but alongside it grew something else, a cold, hard resolve. Marlene's deception wouldn't go unanswered. I would ensure that. This wasn't just about a concert or an affair. It was about every promise she had broken, every lie she had woven into the fabric of our marriage. As the night deepened, plans began to form, each more vindictive than the last. I would expose her lies, dismantle the life she knew, and ensure she understood the gravity of her betrayal. Divorce was only the beginning. I would reclaim my life, and in doing so, ruin hers. Sleep was elusive that night, but clarity had never been more my ally. Tomorrow, the first steps would be taken. Revenge would be mine, and it would be merciless. The morning light did nothing to ease the sting of betrayal. I rolled out of bed, the plan churning in my mind. Today, the foundation of Marlene's deceit would begin to crumble. My first step was simple but devastating: exposure. I showered and dressed mechanically, my thoughts sharp and focused. The house felt different, as if the walls themselves recoiled from the secrets they held. I skipped breakfast, my stomach knotted with a mix of dread and determination. My first stop was the copy shop downtown. I had the concert tickets with me, tangible proof of her infidelity. I made several copies of the tickets and printed out emails I had found on her laptop late last night, flirtatious exchanges with Damien that left nothing to imagination. The evidence was damning, more than enough to shatter her facade. Next, I headed to her office. Marlene worked in a sleek building, all glass and polished steel, a stark contrast to the deceit that festered inside. I waited until lunchtime, when I knew the office would be bustling with people. As I entered the lobby, my heart pounded against my ribs like a drum. I approached the reception desk, a young woman looking up with a practiced smile. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice bright. "I need to leave something for Marlene Harper." "It's urgent," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Of course, I can make sure she gets it," the receptionist replied, extending her hand for the envelope. "Thank you," I said, relinquishing the envelope stuffed with the copies of the emails and tickets. "Please make sure she reads it immediately. It's personal." I turned away, the first part of my plan set into motion. The receptionist's puzzled look didn't escape me, but I didn't care. Let her wonder. As I exited the building, my phone vibrated. It was Marlene, her name flashing on the screen like a bad omen. I answered, my voice cold. "Hello? Where are you? Did you come to my office?" Her voice was shaky, a tinge of panic threading through. "I did," I replied simply. "I thought it was time everyone knew the truth, Marlene." There was a pause, the silence thick. "What are you talking about?" Her voice was a mix of confusion and fear. "Check with your receptionist. I'm sure you'll figure it out soon enough." I hung up before she could respond, a bitter satisfaction settling in my chest. The rest of the day was spent in preparation. I contacted a lawyer, detailing my situation and gathering advice on divorce proceedings. Every action was a calculated step towards dismantling the life Marlene knew. As evening approached, I sat in the dim light of my living room, the silence a stark reminder of the chasm between Marlene and me. My phone buzzed again. It was a text from her. "We need to talk. Please." I stared at the message, my resolve hardening. "We will," I murmured to myself, "but on my terms." Tonight, she would come home to an empty house and a letter explaining my knowledge of her affair and my intentions for the future. The confrontation was inevitable, but I would control the narrative. This was just the beginning. Marlene's betrayal had set this path in motion, and there was no turning back now. As the sky darkened outside, my plan unfolded further, each piece falling into place with a heavy but necessary finality. As dusk melded into the dark hues of night, I sat in the living room, the only illumination coming from the flickering light of a single lamp. The letter I had written lay on the coffee table, its contents a cold declaration of my awareness and the impending demise of our marriage. Each word had been a nail in the coffin of the life we once shared. The sound of keys jangling broke the haunting silence, heralding Marlene's return. My heart thrummed with a mixture of anticipation and fury as I heard the door swing open and close with a soft thud. Marlene's footsteps were tentative, a stark contrast to the confident strides she usually took. She appeared in the doorway of the living room, her face pale, eyes wide with apprehension. She spotted the letter and hesitated. "What is this?" Her voice trembled slightly, barely above a whisper as she picked up the envelope. "Why don't you read it and find out?" My tone was calm, almost detached. She tore it open, her hands shaking. I watched her eyes dart across the words, her face draining of color with each sentence. When she finished, she looked up at me, her eyes brimming with tears. "This. How long have you known?" Her voice broke. "Long enough." I stood, facing her squarely. "Why, Marlene? Why him?" It just happened. It wasn't planned." "I don't know," she stammered, her words faltering under the weight of her guilt. "That's not good enough." My voice rose, a crescendo of hurt and anger. "Not good enough for throwing away what we had." Marlene wiped her eyes, trying to compose herself. "I'm sorry, I really am. Can we talk about this? Please, we can fix it." "There's nothing left to fix." I snapped. The room felt constrictive, as if the walls were closing in with the intensity of the moment. "You made your choice, Marlene. Now, I'm making mine." I stepped closer, my resolve steeling. "I want a divorce. And I want you out of this house by tomorrow." Marlene recoiled as if I had struck her. "You can't be serious. We can go to counseling, work this out. Please, don't throw away everything we have over a mistake. A mistake. I scoffed, the irony bitter on my tongue. No, this was a choice, Marlene. You chose him, over and over again. Now, live with that choice. She sank into the couch, sobbing, her entire frame shaking. I felt a twinge of pity but quashed it quickly. Betrayal had a price, and it was time she paid it. I'll be at a hotel tonight. When I come back, I expect you to be gone. I turned to leave, my heart heavy but my decision clear. Please, she called out weakly, but I didn't turn back. The cool night air felt sharp as I stepped outside, the streets quiet, mirroring the hollow feeling inside me. I drove to the hotel, each mile putting distance between my old life and the path I was now forced to walk alone. Tonight marked the end of us, but it was also the beginning of my new life, one where I no longer lived in the shadow of deceit. As I lay in the sterile hotel room, the silence wasn't suffocating, it was a canvas, empty and ready for new beginnings. The chill of the early morning air bit into my skin as I walked towards the coffee shop across from Marlene's office. Today was the day everything would end, every deceit paid for in full. I sipped my coffee, watching the office building as employees shuffled in, unaware of the storm about to break. I had spent the night planning, plotting each move with precision. My phone vibrated, my attorney confirming that the divorce papers were ready and would be served by noon. This was just the beginning of Marlene's unraveling. As I entered the building, the receptionist gave me a wary nod. She remembered me from last time. I didn't have an envelope today, this visit was for something more personal. I made my way to Marlene's office, my heart pounding with a cocktail of anticipation and rage. I paused at her door, taking a deep breath before I stepped inside. Marlene sat at her desk, her eyes widening in shock as she saw me. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was a mix of fear and defiance. "I came to give you a farewell gift," I said, my tone icy. She stood up, her posture stiff. "I thought I made it clear I needed space to sort things out." "Oh, you'll have plenty of space," I assured her, my lips twisting into a smirk. "After today, you'll have all the space you could want." Her eyes narrowed. "What have you done?" I leaned closer, savoring the moment. "Let's just say your little affair wasn't as secret as you thought. I've made sure everyone knows what kind of person you are." Marlene's face paled. "You didn't." "I did." I pulled out my phone, showing her the social media posts and the emails I'd sent to her colleagues and friends. Screens filled with her secrets laid bare. "You're insane." She lunged for the phone, but I pulled it away. "This is just the start." I watched her crumble, a part of me feeling vindicated, another part hollow. "And let's not forget Damien. His wife was particularly interested in your adventures." Marlene sank into her chair, her body shaking. "You've destroyed me," she whispered. "No, Marlene. You did that to yourself." Leaving her office, I felt the final weight lift off my shoulders. The cool detachment that came with fulfilling my revenge was chilling. I met with my lawyer an hour later, handing over the last of the documents and ensuring that my ties to Marlene would soon be severed forever. The divorce was finalized without a hitch. Marlene's reputation was in tatters, her career in jeopardy. Damien was no better off, the revelations causing his own life to spiral. I had taken everything from them as they had from me. Months passed, and the dust settled. The rage that had fueled my vengeance faded, replaced by a stark emptiness. I realized that in my quest to destroy Marlene and Damien, I had changed. The mirror showed a man I barely recognized, one who had let vengeance consume him. I never saw Marlene again. Our last encounter had been the final chapter of a love that turned to ashes. I heard through mutual contacts that she moved away, a shadow of the woman she once was. Damien's marriage had crumbled, and he too disappeared into obscurity. Sitting in my new apartment, the city lights sprawling before me, I pondered the cost of my revenge. Yes, I had my justice, but at what price? The love I once felt for Marlene was gone, replaced by a bitter satisfaction that felt more like defeat. In destroying them, I had also dismantled a part of myself, a part one would never reclaim. The silence of my victory was overwhelming, a reminder that some battles, though won, leave nothing but ruins behind.